Hello and welcome to another episode of the Construction Corner podcast. I'm Dillon. I'm your host, joined by my blue collar badass guys. Before we dig in today's topic, which is Toolbox Talks, this could also be referred to as your daily team meeting. Whatever you want to call it, that's what we're going to cover. Basically, how to understand what you're going to do that day, what your team is going to do, and what you're going to execute today, right? That's all we're going to be focused on is today's task, doling of assignments, and giving your people the things that they need to do their job. Now, the reason Matt and I can talk about this stuff is, again, combined, we've done about $1 billion in construction between me and like $750 million of design work on the construction or on the that side of the fence, right? Doing design work for big commercial projects. Sorry, guys, I get tongue tied on some of these big numbers, right? Matt's done, hundreds of millions in the commercial side as a general contractor. And again, as an electrical engineer, like projects I work on are no less than typically like 10, $20 million, right? Like that's just kind of the size and scope of what I typically do. It doesn't mean we do smaller or don't do smaller projects. I have a few going right now. That's just the name of the game and the things that we get into from a design perspective, and especially as an electrical engineer. So a lot of the projects I work on are kind of outsized for construction just by the nature of being an electrical guy. So without further ado, we've got plenty of experience to share with you how to run daily meetings. But first, Matt, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. And it's funny you bring up the, contract values. I was looking the other day at it and I start putting my historical list together, right? And man, I have literally built everything from like a $5,000 deck to $100,000 or $100 million corporate headquarters and everything in between. So it's just nothing phases me anymore. But um, I don't know. It's funny to look back at. It's the tail of the tape, right? We still do smaller, in my mind, smaller stuff once in a while, but we have a litmus test here. My lead estimator calls it the number at which he'll get out of bed for. And if it falls below that threshold, we're like, it's got to meet some very specific criteria or have like a very definitive strategic bonus, or else we're gonna pass.
Yeah, I mean, that's really for me in, some projects now, like in starting to do engineering work again, like that bar is a lot lower than it used to be. But I have that very much established for like races, right? So I do running races. Like I don't really get out of bed for really these days less than a marathon. And then with unless like it's with my wife or somebody else, right? Then I'll go do like a half marathon or whatever. But
Yeah.
like I did 10 miles last night at 7:30. Like there's no need for me to get out of bed to do a race for a half marathon. It just like why would I do that?
You got to set standards, man. Otherwise, you become these hoodlums in the alley back here lighting off fireworks at 4 o'clock on the 5th of June, because why not, right? So in case anybody caught that, those were not gunshots, not yet anyways. But man, when you're starting too, like I think a lot of our listeners are new to the game or newer to the game. Like those are the days I look back on them fondly because you experience so much growth so fast. But those are the days too when like it doesn't fucking matter, man. It could be a $15 project. Like you just need to feed the beast and you grab whatever you can, get whatever experience you can. And it's kind of I almost feel like an ivory tower asshole now when I tell my guys here, like, yeah, we're not looking at that one. It's below X number of dollars. And man, 20 years ago, like I couldn't even dream of hitting that threshold. Like if I saw a contract at that level, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I'd be so excited. Now it's like, move on.
Right.
But it's part of the growth, man. It's part of the industry, and it's why we're frankly qualified to get on here once a week and run our mouths and spit some fire.
Yeah, and before we get into meetings, one thing I will like to say on this is really no matter where you are in your phase of growth, like you've had to go and recreate 20 years of like projects, right? And going through what you've done. Uh do this early and add to it often. All the projects you are working on, what you did on them, and if you have it, the value of that building. right? So the reason that I can confidently say what I've worked on is I have that list of pretty much every project that I've done, what I've done on it, values if I have them. If not, I have some like estimated cost of construction values of what they are. So like it's a very like I have a very good idea of the amount of construction value of projects that I've done and executed. And I've just kept a list of everything that I've worked on over the years, and it's really served me well. So now when I send a resume, I have here's all my projects, broken down into project type from schools, hospitals, offices, industrial, restaurants, like you name it. Here's the breakdown of what I've done. Some are, more filled out than others, but that's just what it is.
I was blown away when I first bought into the company, when I first came on as an owner almost 7 years ago. Nobody had any records of that here, like zip. And not for a resume, but for submitting RFPs and RFQs, like if it's not specifically asked for, like it's still a good thing to have around, like to use. And it took me so long, man, to recreate that list. Like I can talk about what I've done personally, but there's things you need to pull in that were here, that we did it as a team and whatever else. And I don't know, it's invaluable data, even if you never use it for a resume or a proposal. Like it's just good to have to be able to look back on, right? Even I don't know, we're not going to derail into historical cost databases. That could be a great show in and of itself, but keep records, guys, and take pictures. I tell everybody here, like, take as many pictures as you possibly can. And, we'll filter out the crap, but we want the nuggets that you might take even inadvertently.
Yeah, it'll be so valuable later. But now to our topic of the day. Toolbox Talks, right? This could be your daily meeting, however you want to call this. Um, Honestly, in the design side of things, people are very opposed to having these types of meetings, right? I learned it from Scrum. Scrum meetings is basically what they're called. But in the construction industry, like on the construction side, you guys have Toolbox Talks quite frequently, right? It's not uncommon to have. But on the design side, it's like once a week, Monday morning meeting. It's like all anybody did, or a monthly like state of the company meeting or quarterly, whatever that might have been. And I do recommend monthly meetings for companies, but daily for like your department. So I ran these for my department and it was a daily meeting. But first, let's go. Why should you even have a daily meeting? Like, Matt, what's your experience in running, Toolbox Talks on job sites?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's critically important, right? And toolbox talks, or sometimes we refer to them as foreman's meetings. Um, I've done it. I've spent time in the field as a superintendent. I've run jobs, and I can tell you, much like our coordination meeting topic last week, these toolbox talks are so imperative to the overall effectiveness and efficiency on a job site. I've done jobs where we never did it, right? It was an annoyance. It was just something that, nobody wanted to get prepared for, nobody wanted to show up. And those are the jobs that suck. They typically suck right out of the gate, and they suck until the day you hand over the keys, and it's just stressful. And but the jobs when we do operate on a quick meeting, it's quick, like 15 minutes, right? Every single day at the same time. It's structured, it's rigid. Those are the projects that go off. I can't say without a hitch because that's not possible, but they go off so much more efficient than the others do. And it's just it's a great habit to get into. We'll get into the office side of it, I'm sure, today, but from a field perspective, it's critical, man. You've got so many different trades and so many different like small little armies basically on the site at any given time. You get the generals all together so that everybody knows where everybody else is. And we push on a safety topic also, so that's got to stay top of mind. But it's a way to get organized for the current day. It's a way to make sure the shit that we said we were going to do yesterday was actually done. And then we go a step further and we use it to plan for tomorrow, so that my superintendents, who are the bosses on those job sites, they can play puppet master and make sure that all of the different parts and pieces of human capital that are on our job sites are where they need to be. They're not overlapping. Guys aren't stepping on each other's toes. It's just it makes for an organized, clean, and efficient job site, and that's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, so we covered who needs to be there, right? So on a job site, it's going to be the superintendent and they're going to be facilitating the meeting, right? So last week we talked about facilitators, big deal.
Yep.
So if you didn't know about facilitators, go back and listen to last week's episode covering kind of who a facilitator is. So with facilitator, that's going to be the superintendent. And then who needs to be in attendance? Well, every trade that's going to be on the job site that day, right? That's going to be who's in attendance. And then what do you cover, right? What are the questions you ask? Well, first, you're probably going to have a safety topic, which is just going to be led by the superintendent on, hey, here's things to be aware of today, right? Whatever that might be. Hey, we got overhead cranes on the site. We're going to be actually using them today, right? Tower cranes up, or whatever it is, right? Hey, we're filling in the elevator shafts, right? Like those things we're removing barricades from some of those. So be aware, or whatever it is, right? Whatever that safety topic of the day around the site for whatever specific thing is going to be addressed typically at the top of the meeting. It's just a nice, easy thing to start with. Then it's going to be, what'd you do yesterday? Go around the horn of everybody, what they did yesterday. Then it's going to be, what are we doing today? Right? Where's everybody at today? And then with every leader of every trade on the job site, so with every foreman for every trade, then they can disperse and tell their guys, well, hey, here's where the concrete guys are going to be today. Here's where the carpenters are going to be. Here's where the glazers are going to be. Here's Mason, you just go down the list of everybody that's there today, and you might have 6, 7. So hopefully that foreman took good notes at the meeting to then relay to all his guys. So again, what'd you do yesterday? What are we doing today? And then if you want to cover, what are you doing tomorrow? So the guys can prepare for that. So again, simple little meeting. It shouldn't be more than 15 minutes to do this. And that's, again, who's running it? What are we covering? And then who needs to be there? Anything else on the field side of it?
Well, yeah, I mean, just touching on the importance of it, the real reason behind this, and the reason and the biggest selling point, I guess, to getting your foreman involved in this, because guys will push back, right? It's a meeting, man. These guys are rough and tough dudes, and they want to go out and bust knuckles. They want to stack brick. They want to bang up walls. They don't want to sit in the meeting and take notes and all that shit. But let me ask you an easy question, simple but not easy, maybe. What is the most expensive thing on a job site ever?
It's time, wasted time.
Bingo.
Work.
It is the guy, the laborer of any level in your company who is standing around with his hands in his pocket because he can't do his work because somebody's in his way, something's not ready, or whatever reason there may be. And you want to see an owner get fiery pissed immediately fast, show him, let him walk onto your job site when his guys are dicking around, having water cooler talk or standing around because, the drywaller can't get in to hang drywall because somebody's in his way. The plumber's there that day, or, whatever. The roofer shows up to do the coping and the carpenters haven't put the nailers down yet. These guys are now standing, and it's not like guys locked in one office, right? If you go in your office and like some conference room's busy, you go find somewhere else. Like, that doesn't work in the field. Like, this is your site. You drove however far to get there. You've now committed half a day minimum, and you're sitting there doing jack shit. Like, that's a bad place to be. So that is why our job as a GC is to coordinate these projects. Our superintendent's main job, second main job, first is always safety. Second main job is to coordinate that site so that all of our specialty contractors can be as efficient as possible, because we all make money in this business based on time, right? The faster you get in, the faster you get out, and the less you got to go back, the more money you make. That's the sole purpose in having these toolbox talk meetings in the field.
Perfect. Two other things I want to cover. When do you have these meetings? Right. So some of this is going to be very dependent, and this is going to be for the office as well as in the field, on when your guys need to be there. Right. Since you need all parties kind of involved in this meeting, right? You can't have it at 6 a.m. when the electricians aren't scheduled to be there until 8 or 9, or somebody's not going to be there for whatever reason until later in the day, right? You can't have it at 6 in the morning if not everybody is going to be there at 6 in the morning, or at least your foremen aren't going to be there, right? And again, it could be one of those things of like, you have it with your foreman, but the rest of their guys aren't going to be there until later. So setting this meeting time with everybody and to their schedules is going to be of the utmost importance, right? So again, don't schedule a 7 a.m. meeting when not everybody agreed to a 7 a.m. meeting, right? Just because you're the, again, GC superintendent and you happen to be there at 6:30 every morning does not mean that the rest of everybody else is also going to be there, right? They have their own schedules. They might have to go and check in at their own shop before they come to the site, and they have their 6:30 meeting at their office before they come to the job site. So again, clarify when you're going to have this meeting with your people, right? And then from a meeting minutes standpoint, having all these meeting minutes that we talked about last week, the utmost importance of minutes, and to be able to lean on these things, this needs to also be issued kind of like same day. Uh, this is not, if you're the one running and facilitating these meetings and you're taking minutes because you do have the whole team there, to issue meeting minutes basically within the same day, right? They get uh, dictated down, whether that's however you want to do that, right? Whether somebody else is taking notes specifically for it, which again, the superintendent running it should have somebody else on their team to take notes for them so that they can focus on running the meeting and someone else can focus on taking minutes for the meeting, right? Two kind of like a secretary's position if you're on a board of some sort, and then the president's job to run the meeting, right? Two different positions to do this, and then it gets issued. Also, it'll help to have those meeting minutes where the guys, all your foremen can then issue those meeting minutes out to their entire team. Now, when we get to the design side, I didn't ever do meeting minutes for my guys because it was my internal team. But when you have multiple trade contractors and you agree to things in these meetings, it's a good record to have from that standpoint. But let's cover times and meeting minutes basically for the field specifically.
Yeah. So to start with the last first, let's do meeting minutes. I think I even mentioned it last week, but minutes, if you will, coming out of a Toolbox Talk meeting, that's the beginning of your daily field report. And that memorializes that conversation or those conversations for life. As far as who takes notes and what, a lot of our guys will use whiteboards, and whoever's taking the notes will have each section of the meeting up on the whiteboard. Then the foreman just snap a picture with their phone, and it's good as gold, right? And then our guys will later disseminate that into their formal field reports that we have to do every day. And we've talked about field reports. We won't get too far, but it's essentially a collection of meeting minutes, a collection of all the events and people that were on a job site on any given day. And those, if you've ever been in a bad position where you had attorneys asking what the hell happened on a given day, and you go to look for your daily field reports and they're not there, it's a really bad day for you. If you have those field reports, it's a much better day. So make sure they're being done, and whoever's doing them, just make sure they're being done. As far as timing goes, I totally agree with you. Now, what I will push on a little bit is in the beginning of a project, when you're getting set up as a superintendent in the field, you want to be as democratic as possible, right? As accommodating as possible for everybody. However, once that time is set, fuck off. That meeting happens every day at this time, and if you're not there, there's hell to pay. And
Yep.
you know, the superintendent has to be the stingiest, meanest, grumpiest MFer on a job site sometimes. And this is one of those things, like, because it's mission critical. So if you can't be there, there better be a very, very good explanation why, and you better have some means of getting that information to you and to your trades accordingly. And changing times on these sort of meetings, like midstream, like it doesn't work. It causes chaos. But what I will say too, one last quick ad is, if you ever want to see an office guy really squirm, tell him you're holding your foreman's meeting and he needs to be there at 6:30 a.m. we I will say, I've got a couple guys here who get here way earlier than I do. I've transitioned. I used to be that, up at 4:30 and on the job site by 5 type of guy. I've changed with my changing roles. I roll in here about 8 o'clock usually, but I'm also here late as shit every night. So there's a difference. But it is funny to me when you see the eyes of the normally office lock guy when he has to be at a meeting at 6:30 a.m. the next day. And it's just like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah, I'll agree to that. Setting these meeting times and having them. Now, the question that I would also pose in here is, do you have a call-in number, right, for some of those where guys, let's say that, for example, the electrician is basically they're not scheduled to be on that job site that week for whatever reason, right? They're waiting for whatever, but they still need to be present at the meeting to understand what's going on, where things are, give their 2 cents if something comes up. Um, instead of him driving however long that might be, right, to a job site to attend a meeting for 15 minutes and then drive however long back, do you now in this day and age have a call-in number where those guys can, whether it's Zoom or Teams or whatever have you, attend virtually or call, conference call back in the day for people that have been on a conference call line?
That's a great point, man. And candidly, I don't know the answer. I don't know if our guys do that or not. I would like to think they do. I mean, like you said, ever since 2020, if anyone tells you they don't know how to do a virtual meeting, they're full of shit, right? So that should absolutely be an option, and it's one I'm going to check on tomorrow because you're right. The electricians don't have to be there every day or don't have to be there on Monday for whatever reason, but they do need to be kept in the loop and they do need to know what's coming and where specifically they need to know where they fit in the slots for that upcoming week or couple days, whatever it may be. So I didn't mean like the superintendents can't be human and can't budge a bit, but what you just you can't try to accommodate everyone every single day, because if you try and do that, you'll never end up getting anything done.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a hardliner on the meeting time, right? I very much agree to that, right? But be democratic in the beginning, right? Certain people are gonna. It's not always 6:30, right? It might be 7:30, it might be 8, it might be whatever. That you end up setting that meeting for the project team in the beginning, right? Like some of your guys, especially in let's say more rural projects, shit, some guys might have to drive an hour and a half to get there, right? Like, so it's as much as you would want to have a 6:30 meeting because you're 10 minutes from the job site, right? Like, not everybody is going to have that. So yes, set the meeting in a democratic way in the beginning, or mostly democratic, right? Majority rules. But from that point on, once it gets set, the team sets it, the team agrees to it, then it moves that way forward. And then I'm just thinking of like these things for, again, a carpenter, a mason, the steel guys need to be on, those meetings through until, they top out, right? Steel's done. Those guys don't need to be on the meetings anymore, right? More than likely. So, or hey, we need a phone call, make sure that they get back on the meeting
Right.
for any steel issues, right? So it's in the field side of it, you do have a changing cast of characters through the entirety of that project, right? Your finish guys or your flooring guys don't need to be a part of like site stuff. Your painters aren't going to worry about when grading's moving, so you have that changing cast of characters that are on those calls. But all of those trade partners should be on that first, like trying to set times, maybe, or at least your big ones. And then as you get through it, like, hey, painter, you're going to have to get up early to be on these meetings.
Yeah, and we kind of touched on it last week too. Like, know who to invite to these meetings. You don't need a packed house for every single thing. But changing cast of characters is a good way to put it, because it's like watching a play. There's going to be the main actor or actors, a couple of them through the whole thing, but others come and go. And it's up to you as the field superintendent, as the boss of that site to dictate who needs to be there and when, and who can bow out, and who can call in versus who needs to drive an hour and a half to get there for your 15-minute meeting. Sometimes, look, man, if we're erecting steel and something's going on, like, I don't care if you got to drive 3 hours for that meeting. That's important enough from a safety and logistics perspective that tough shit. You need to be there. But to your point, if it's the painter who, is coming in to start spraying drywall later, like, he probably doesn't need to drive 3 hours round trip for a 15-minute, quick hitter meeting in the trailer.
Right. Well, and it's like the steel erector is going to be on site the day that they're erecting steel. So yeah, you be here in person for the meeting the day that you're lifting steel, right? Some of this makes sense. Use your common sense, best judgments. Like, it's not rocket science, but it is crucial to having a successful project.
Yeah, man. You want to flip it to the office side real quick before we get out of here? We don't call them toolbox talks, but there's different. You talk about scrum meetings a lot. We call them huddles here, but what's your take on those?
Yeah, same thing, daily meeting. So I'll cover time first. So for me in the office, because again, like, our guys don't have that thing of like, we need to start work at 7 so we can be out of here at 3 for, all sorts of reasons, right? And that's just kind of the construction schedule, 7 to 3. That's what it is. In the office, it's more like kind of not quite banker's hours, but 8 to 5, right, is like generally available to be there. But some guys come at 9, they leave at 6, others are in at 7, they leave at 3, right? That's just, or 4 or whatever. So there is a variety of schedules with guys in the office. And so what I did, because I did have guys that came in at 7, I was usually there between 7:30 and 8:30 to the office. And then I had guys that came in at 9, right? Like, and I was over basically 3 offices. So we had a conference call every morning at 9:15. And what this allowed was for the guys that were coming in at 9 is they could go get a cup of coffee, turn their computer on, check a couple emails, and come into that meeting with like, here's the fire that I just received when I checked my email and stuff. They got their cup of coffee. It gives them a little bit of buffer time, right? Because again, the office, I'm not so lenient of like, you got to be here to open the store at 8, right? That's not what we run. We are a little more flexible. Did you get your shit done or not? Right. These are the like hard lines of, do we meet deadline or not? I don't care if you had to be here till midnight last night. Like, these are some of those things. So time, I set all mine for 9:15. I had 10 guys on it, and it never took more than 15 minutes to go through the day. So what I tried to start with was, what'd you do yesterday? What are you doing today? And what do you need? It ended up being what are we doing today? Right? What is everybody working on? And this was just for my electrical department. So this wasn't other departments. I didn't keep meeting minutes. And what this ended up doing for the team is that instead of like that long Monday morning meeting, now Monday mornings, we did do it via video conference. Again, this was like 10 plus years ago. We didn't have like Zoom and all the nice things we have now. So it was like a literal video conference system that we had. So with that, we did do a video conference mainly so the guys could see each other, right? We were across multiple offices. It was a thing that we like made the effort to, hey, this is your team, right? We all work in different offices on different projects, but like, this is what it is. Granted, we were all in the same time zone, so that did help a lot. But every Mondays did tend to go a little longer. We covered a bigger topic or tried to do some teaching lessons, but every other day was a conference call, 15 minutes. What are you doing today? And then at the end, it was like, does anybody need anything? Right? Do you need help with anything? Do we need to go through projects? And then if it ended up being a bigger thing, I would dismiss those that didn't need to be in the meeting. And then we'd handle it with maybe it's one guy, maybe it's like 5 guys to, hey, we have a freaking massive high school project that we need to get out. We're going to split up all the work to get this thing out in the next 2 weeks, right? Who can help? And let's divvy it up, right?
Yeah, and we've gone through different iterations of this here. We tried doing a full team wide huddle every morning. and it was clunky, and it never really caught on because, in our world, we've got such siloed divisions of labor, right? We've got the operations side, we've got the pre-construction, and then, all the sales and bullshit is its own enigma. But we stopped doing that. They never caught on. But what we have now is more kind of like you just said, departmental focused huddles. I know my PCS team does it every day. The operations team has some version of it, but I think the gist of this is no matter what time it is, I mean, you pick a time that works for the office folks, but it needs to be a morning activity, right? It needs to be, doesn't have to be first thing when you walk in, but it needs to be early enough in the day that you can address the fires that come up. It's not to go back to last week too much, but as far as any meetings in general, I did a project for a client once, probably 10, 12 years ago now. And she had a rule, which I love it. I can't use it all the time because it doesn't work with everything. But her rule was no meetings on Monday ever. Weekly project meetings are always to be held on Tuesdays because Mondays, everybody's still hungover from the weekend, tired, groggy, not functioning. They need to get through all the email garbage. Tuesdays are still early enough in the week that you can make definitive changes to put the fires out and to affect how the rest of the week goes. But anyways, I like that idea, and I tried it for a couple years. I tried to do no meetings on Monday if I can, but it doesn't always work. But these huddles are outside of that, so I digress. Do it every day.
Yeah, this has to be a daily thing. So, because what I've learned over the years is just having a Monday meeting, right, to kick off the week by shit, sometimes Monday afternoon, the whole plan that you just spent an hour discussing with however big your team is, right? 5 to 10 people or whatever it is, you just wasted, let's just call it 10 people. So you wasted 10 hours, right, of collective time for something that ended up changing, right? And then you're going to have another meeting with maybe not everybody, but half the team to talk about what changed. So this is why I ended up doing the daily meeting, 15 minutes. We go through whatever's happening the day. We can handle and deal with whatever changes may come. And there's a couple things that this did for the collective team. So different than a on-site field meeting is like, again, I had 9 guys under me. So with that, like we probably have 5 to 8 projects going on, right? At any given time with that team of guys. So if Bob doesn't know what Steve's doing, right? How can they talk about what the company in general is doing? Right. So now they only know a tenth of the projects going on unless Steve talks to John, who sits next to him. Right. Like, unless they share what's going on in their projects, nobody knows what's going on. But if you talk about it, hey, I'm working on this building. Here's, when they kick it off, right? Here's 2 things or 5 things about that project. Here's the high level overview of whatever project we're working on. It's a X $1 million project. It's X square feet. We're doing it for Z client. It's in, W location, right? Like, here's the high level things that you should know about this project as a team, as a company that we're doing. And so it really knits the team together nicely when you have these meetings versus being like everybody's working on their own project and their own thing. And especially when you have across multiple offices, it's like, well, they're the other office, right? They're the Ohio office versus the Indiana office or versus, whatever else, right? Then you create this animosity versus like, oh, I'm helping, the Ohio guys on this project, right? Oh, the Ohio guys are doing this project for this office or vice versa, to where now we are a collective team. We do things together and not just, we only work on projects in our respective areas.
Dude, I'm so glad you touched on that because listen, guys, we're not suggesting that meetings are just to have meetings, all right? And we're not trying to just jam meeting after meeting after meeting down everybody's throat. Meetings is the topic we're talking about this month, but what Dillon just mentioned, it goes beyond transfer of information. Now it's become a cultural thing, right? Because and I can tell you, I've seen this here, I've watched it happen, and it's exactly what you just said. People get in silos. We get very busy. And if you get to the point where you're so siloed and you're so busy that you don't know what your next door neighbor's doing, or you just don't care because you don't have time, quote unquote, to focus on it, you have a bunch of solopreneurs working in a company, and that does not work long term, right? So keeping everybody just kind of laced in enough that there's a cohesive bond is really important. It's really important to team building. It's important to maintaining a culture because people, they want to know what's going on, right? Your people want to feel like they're part of this great team. And if they're out having dinner with their wife, or at the park with their kids or whatever, talking to a dad on the sideline of the soccer game, and the conversation comes up, like, what do you want them to say about your company? Like, well, I have no idea, I just work a ton and I'm really really busy, but somebody, we do cool stuff, I'm sure. Like, no, like, you want them to say, hey, this is an amazing team, this is an amazing place I work, we do all these great things, and collectively we're building this and we're building that and we're designing this and designing that. And it goes a lot farther than simple information transfer. Even the toolbox talks on site, right? That becomes a cultural thing. Now it's designed at its root to solve problems before they happen, right? And to address safety concerns. But what it also does is it builds that camaraderie. It gets everybody together every single day for a quick hit. You have your small talk before the meeting starts, guys slap hands, hey, good, whatever. It's as much cultural as it is information transfer at that level.
Yeah, man, everybody's getting coffee, in the especially like for field meetings, right? The superintendent's got coffee and maybe breakfast or whatever, right? Like that's just kind of how those things go, right? Like everybody's got their stuff. It becomes a little gathering place. Yeah, they might spend a half hour in total because they got there early because they know they're getting a snack. They got coffee. Everybody needs to make it, in there before the coffee pot's dry, right? Like all those things happen. And then the same in the office, right? Everybody's getting coffee, they're talking about things before and after the meeting. And then to do the one step further on the cultural thing is like, oh yeah, no, we're working on a project right down the road. Like I'm not the one maybe working on it, but I know that we're designing, like, again, when I did this, we were doing a lot of school projects. So like, hey, we're doing a new school right down the road here. Or, I know we're going to put new ball fields are going in right down the road. They just passed a bond for it because, that came up in our meeting this week. Or, oh man, a new rec facility is going in right down the road. It'll be open in 2 years, so when our kids are in, U15 travel ball, we'll probably end up playing at, ABC gymnasium down the road. I even know what it's named, right? Like those are the types of things that end up happening in these meetings. Or like, hey, we're getting a new fire department, right? It's right down the road for us. Like all these things, because again, like we're in construction, so it's a community thing. People want to know what's going in, what's being built. Like we can give some of that insight to what, at a ball game. And then it's like, oh, John's connected, man, maybe I should have John build my next thing. Or, oh, Steve down the road's looking to, put up a whatever storage facility, man, Dave over there at Schaefer, man, I should probably talk to him about putting in a new storage facility that, Stacy wants to put in, right? Whatever it is, like these are how those conversations happen for your team, and then the culture building around it. And again, just so in the beginning, when you start this, right, this all sounds great. Like this is the kind of end result of these meetings. But in the beginning, your guys will bitch about it. They will not want to show up. They will gripe about it for probably a good solid month. Why do we have a meeting? Oh, I got to slug to it. But I will tell you, after running these for 18 months, and then I put in my 2 weeks notice and I didn't run the meetings, man, guys were like zombies walking around the office. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know where to go. Cause I was like, well, I don't need to run. Like, you guys will figure it out. We're going to transition and you'll do whatever you're going to do. There's no reason for me to run these anymore. And I took them off the calendars, and you could just see guys like, shit, man, what are we doing today? Oh, I guess I need to like think about that. I don't, because they don't have to say it now in the meeting of what they're doing today. So they didn't even think about it. And then by the end of the 2 weeks, they're like, well, damn, I kind of missed my meeting. you know?
And Yeah, and you lose you lose a lot of potential by not having those meetings, by everyone not knowing what everyone else is doing on a cursory level, right? It's like synaptic connections forming, right? When my estimator says, "Hey, I'm working on a car wash," and my senior PM is like, "Oh yeah, I built like 3 car washes. Got any questions? Let me know." Well, now you've formed this new connection, right? And the web tightens up even more, and there's let alone the bonding and all that stuff. But like, just what we do is so enigmatic as an industry, right? There's so much going on. There's so much potential there, that to not at least clue everybody in is really doing yourself a disservice, and as well as everybody in your team. And when you get people used to it, that's when the magic happens. And then obviously, like you just said, when you pull that plug and go a different direction, that's when your people realize, like, wow, we really did like that meeting. It was helpful. And then they got to figure it out. But I just keep it on, guys. Keep doing it. Keep pressing forward. Your team will eventually learn to at least respect the meeting, if not like it. But I would bet that most of them will end up liking it, because it does serve a lot of dual purpose that isn't as easy to put on paper.
And come in with a plan, right? We're gonna hammer this thing home. Like, come in with a plan, come in prepared, come in ready to run the meeting, and don't dick around, don't waste time. You can do that before and after the meeting, right? But meeting starts, run it effectively, right?
Yep.
And then have a way for people to do it, right? I took a lot of these calls like on the road as I was driving or whatever. So I made sure to like never miss these unless I was on vacation, right? And then I would actually assign somebody to run the meeting when I wasn't there. Like, you guys can handle it. You can all do it. You're grown adults. So as you do this, right, it will get easier, it will get better, but just come in prepared, confident, and running it, and go from there. And don't give in within the first month. Like, the last thing to do is give in. You got to hold the line and running these, but you will over time really see the benefit of it. And then it'll become a habit and guys will want to show up. Um, Anything else before we close down this episode on Toolbox Talks or your daily meeting?
No, just share the damn show, guys. Next week, we're coming back with a topic that is near and dear to my heart. I've got lots of failures that I can talk about, and that is the kind of the company-wide meeting or the State of the Union. So be sure to share this show and then tune in next week, because we're getting into some heavy hitter, kind of deep into the bush talks on this. So we'll see you then.
Yeah, this is going to be how to cast a vision, right? How to get everybody excited about what you're doing, how to paint, where you're going, what you're up to now, state of projects, right? From an internal standpoint, where you're going, and how people can be a part of that vision on a go forward. So, guys, until next time, that is this episode of the Construction Corner Podcast.